If you're crossing off days on your calendar, well, today is Thursday, September 14th. And welcome to the President's Daily Brief. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. Let's get briefed. We'll begin today in Far Eastern Russia, where North Korean leader Kim Jong has pledged his support to Vladimir Putin. The relationship has moved from the exchanging of friendship bracelets to a full-on bromance, raising fears of a new ammunition deal that could fuel Moscow's war efforts in Ukraine. In a summit that lasted over 4 hours, the two isolated leaders explored a concerning alignment of interests and the revival of a Cold War alliance. Later on, we'll move to North Africa, where the nations of Libya and Morocco are each grappling with the disastrous and deadly aftermaths of two natural disasters. And in today's Back of the Brief, I have a follow-up to a story from earlier this week, as a key Democratic lawmaker is calling for an investigation into SpaceX CEO Elon Musk over his decision not to support a Ukrainian attack in occupied Crimea. But first, today's PDB Spotlight. The much-anticipated summit between North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong and Vladimir Putin, which we've discussed previously here on the PDB, is now in the books, and as expected, it looks like the two leaders are pledging mutual support to each other's interests and objectives. And when I say it looks like, I mean Kim literally expressed his complete support for Putin's war in Ukraine. During the 4-hour-long meeting, the North Korean leader said, and I quote, "We have always supported and stand by all decisions of President Putin." He called Russia's invasion a sacred struggle against Western imperialism. Putin returned the love and adoring sideways glances, talking up economic ties and reminding everyone that Russia was the first nation to recognize North Korea's sovereignty all the way back in 1948. Oh, it's a long-term romance. So what should we expect moving forward? With North Korea's extensive munition stockpiles and its large arms industry, there's a better-than-good chance that Kim might be looking to help out Russia with some firepower. After all, many North Korean weapons are Soviet-style, making them compatible with what Russia has. And what does North Korea get in return? Well, the meeting spot, a Russian spaceport called Vostochny Kosmodrome, might be a clue about Kim's game plan. He likely sees this relationship as a way to acquire advanced weapons from Russia that could create a significant concern for the U.S. and its Asia allies. Oh, and speaking of weapons, while all this was going on, North Korea decided to test out a couple of short-range ballistic missiles. South Korea spotted them flying from Sunan near Pyongyang's international airport, heading east over international waters, where they eventually landed harmlessly. All right, when we come back, a double tragedy that's shaking North Africa. Libya and Morocco are struggling with catastrophic disasters that have left at least 8,000 people dead, and many thousands more injured or missing. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the President's Daily Brief. I want to turn now to the Libyan city of Derna, about 190 miles east of Benghazi, where the death toll from catastrophic floods continues to rise. On Sunday evening, 2 dams in the Mediterranean city burst after a torrential downpour, causing water to surge through the city and drag entire homes with their occupants into the sea. Reports indicate entire neighborhoods have been washed away. The aftermath has been heartbreaking. As of Wednesday, the death toll stands at over 6,000 people, but that's a conservative estimate. Morgues are already at capacity and bodies are beginning to pile up in the streets. Hospitals are out of commission just when they're needed the most. Around 10,000 more people are unaccounted for. They might be lost at sea or under the city's rubble. The United Nations highlighted another grim fact. Over 30,000 people have been displaced by these floods. As rescue teams scramble to dig through collapsed buildings, there's an urgent call for more humanitarian aid. But here's the challenge. The massive damage to roads and bridges has made many parts of Derna just impossible to reach. There are only 2 main routes open into the city at the current time. And if that wasn't bad enough, the storm knocked out all communications lines, leaving families outside Libya waiting for any word on their missing family and friends. Now, Libya was one of those spots that burned bright in the headlines for a short period of time and has since faded from most people's memories. It was only 12 years ago that the country fell into significant civil war, with various warlords battling and rebels eventually killing the longtime Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi in October of 2011. Less than a year later, on September 11th, 2012, members of Ansar al-Sharia attacked the American compound in Benghazi, resulting in the deaths of 4 Americans, including the U.S. ambassador. Since that time, Libya has been what, in technical terms, would be considered a hot mess. There's no unified government, little to no interest from the international community to get involved, and a general sense that warlords, terrorists, and criminals hold sway inside the country. The general in-country chaos and lack of a centralized government have compounded the devastating results of the Derna flooding. Now, as Libya struggles with floods, the nation of Morocco is dealing with the aftermath of Friday's magnitude 6.8 earthquake that rocked the high Atlas Mountains not too far from the bustling city of Marrakesh. The devastation is staggering. Over 2,900 people have lost their lives, and another 5,500 plus are injured, marking this as the deadliest quake to hit Morocco since the 1960s. Imagine entire communities flattened. In places like Tinmel, which is about 75 miles from Marrakesh, nearly every house has turned to rubble now, leaving its residents without a roof over their heads. The rugged terrain isn't doing rescuers any favors either. Despite the challenging conditions, international search teams from countries like Britain, Spain, and Qatar are pitching in alongside the Moroccan military. However, hopes of finding any more survivors are dwindling. Interestingly, while Morocco has welcomed search and rescue teams from a handful of countries, it's been a bit hesitant about accepting other forms of aid. Aid groups across Europe are scratching their heads, wondering why Morocco isn't rolling out the red carpet for all the help and assistance it can get, especially since around 300,000 people are in need. The U.S., France, and other nations have offered their assistance, but so far, Morocco seems to be playing it close to the vest when it comes to accepting that foreign aid. All right, in today's Back of the Brief, a follow-up to our story about Elon Musk not giving the Ukrainian military access to his Starlink internet. Senator Elizabeth Warren is stepping in, demanding an investigation into the billionaire's decision because, well, it's Washington, D.C., where politicians can't let a day pass without demanding an investigation into something. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the PDB. Earlier this week, we highlighted the brewing controversy over Elon Musk's decision to not activate Starlink over occupied Crimea after an urgent request from the Ukrainian government. What was Musk's reasoning? Well, it was clear from the Ukrainian government's request that they wanted to use the Starlink system to target Russian ships docked at the Crimean port of Sevastopol. Musk later explained that he wanted to steer clear of direct involvement in the conflict, keeping SpaceX out of the crosshairs in what he felt could be a massive escalation of the conflict. Now, this story has taken a twist. Fast forward to today. Senator Elizabeth Warren has some questions. Speaking outside a forum on artificial intelligence over on Capitol Hill, where Musk was also present, she's calling for a closer look into those contracts and how Musk, or any tech CEO for that matter, can make such decisions independent of the government's input. She's suggesting that Congress and the Department of Defense revisit the U.S. military's deals with SpaceX, especially after its recent agreement to buy Starlink terminals for use in Ukraine. And a fun fact for those of you keeping score, this is not the first time that Warren has targeted Musk. Earlier this summer, she nudged the SEC to take a closer look at Musk's roles at both Tesla and Twitter. I'm sure Warren's latest call to investigate Musk has nothing to do with politics. Look, Musk runs a company that developed a robust technology, Starlink, that is proving critical to maintaining communications within Ukraine. But he's not the U.S. government. He runs a private sector company. If the U.S. government wants to dictate how the Starlink technology is used to prosecute the war, maybe, just maybe, they should develop and offer the same technology, rather than relying on the private sector to fill in the gaps. But the reality is, The private sector tends to be much better at innovating and developing new technologies. Senator Warren wants to act righteous about how Musk elects to use his company. That's fine. But she doesn't have the right to tell Musk what to do. And that, my friends, is the President's Daily Brief for Thursday, 14 September. If you have any questions or comments, reach out to us at pdb@thefirsttv.com. I'm Mike Baker. Until tomorrow, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool.